The United States Department of Defense has given SpaceX a $150 million contract to launch the first batch of hypersonic missile defense satellites. This is SpaceX's second such contract, and its value is comparable to that of the company's development contract. In this project, SpaceX and i3 Technologies, a Florida-based defense firm, will create a network of dozens of satellites across all continents. Want to learn more about this? Stay tuned to the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Be Wiser and press the bell icon to never miss an update on the multi-talented, influential tech icon and billionaire Elon Musk. According to George Nakouzi, a senior engineer at RAND Corporation, a nonprofit think tank for the defense industry, SpaceX has received a $150 million defense contract to launch the first hypersonic missile defense satellites, and a number of other companies, including Lockheed Martin and York Space Systems of Denver, are also involved in building the network spacecraft. He said that the development is in response to Russia and China's growing hypersonic capabilities. Right now, the project is focused on launching a demonstration mission, he said, but I'm not sure if they'll create the entire system as envisioned. L3 Harris and SpaceX will each build 4 missile detection satellites for launch in 2022. Nevertheless, a communication satellite constructed by Lockheed Martin and York will be used to send information about the position and trajectory of hypersonic missiles, despite the fact that the companies are competitors. Speed is crucial, according to Nakouzi, because such a weapon might go halfway around the planet in under an hour. i3 Harris executive Bill Gattel stated the business has been preparing huge numbers of hypersonic missile defense spacecraft for years, despite the fact that SpaceX normally does not comment on such projects. Infrared sensors used in weather detection satellites have been adopted by L3 Harris for the new spacecraft, which will be part of the U.S.'s new planned National Defense Space Architecture. Gatzel explained that we are in a period where we are building hundreds of satellites at a time rather than a few at a time because we've recognized the need to improve efficiency, and we've already built hundreds of satellite payloads, while referring to the constellations of hundreds of satellites launched by SpaceX and similar plans announced by OneWeb and Amazon. According to him, the satellite network, which is controlled by the Pentagon's newly formed Space Development Agency, has transformed space and defense contracts by moving faster than ever before. On such a large government project, Jennifer Elsia, the agency's Director of Strategic Engagement, explained that the agency was founded in 2019 to ensure a rapid response to emerging threats. She added that the SDA's desire is to create a market rather than a set of programs so that all prospective performers can build capabilities, and that the SDA hypersonic detection system will eventually include up to 150 satellites. According to another contract, each company must design and develop 4 satellites with overhead persistent infrared OPIR sensors with a wide field of view as part of the SDA's tracking layer. The sensors will be used to track hypersonic weapons in low Earth orbit, acting deputy under Secretary for Research and Engineering. This SDA tracking layer will be made up of a proliferated heterogeneous constellation of WFOV spacecraft that will provide persistent global coverage and custody, according to Mark Lewis. In addition, the Missile Defense Agency is still working on their medium field of view MFOV hypersonic and ballistic tracking space sensors. However, as previously said, SpaceX will earn $150 million, and L3 Harris would receive $192 million. Tournier Direct, the honors, were chosen through a rigorous and open competition, with the selection based solely on technical excellence through its styling constellation, according to the director of SDA. The Department of Defense has tested the use of Starlink to connect weapon systems, and SpaceX has created a series of satellites to deliver broadband services from low Earth orbit. However, the company has no prior experience with OPIR sensors. SpaceX already has a production line for building a bus based on its styling technology, according to Tunia, and Tournier plans to work with partners to develop a sensor that will be used on buses it provides. He said SpaceX had a very credible story along that line, a very compelling proposal, and it was outstanding. They are the ones who have been at the forefront of this commercialization and commodification route. L3 Harris will design an OPIR solution based on its many years of experience working with small satellites, small telescopes, and OPIR technology. Tunis stated that they had an extremely capable solution, stating that they had a lot of experience flying affordable rapid small satellite buses for the department, and that they had the plant and line in place to produce these on time. These contracts are part of the SDA's National Defense Space Architecture project, which includes hundreds of low Earth orbit satellites. The satellites will form Tranche 0 of the SDA's tracking layer, which will provide global coverage for tracking hypersonic threats, and the Transport Layer, which will consist of a network of satellites interconnected by optical intersatellites, will serve as the glue that holds the NDSA together, as WFOV satellites will be directly connected to the network, as with most planned SDA satellites. According to Lewis, the NDSA Transport Layer is connected to the National Defense Space Architecture Wire optical links, which will enable low-latency missile warning dissemination, as well as provide joint war fighters with direct tracking information. The Transport Layer's capabilities are critical to the Tracking Layer's function because they are so much closer to the Earth's surface than the U.S. Space Force missile tracking satellites. In geosynchronous orbit, the WFOV sensors will have a much smaller field of view, so the WFOV satellites will have to work together to track hypersonic missiles traversing the globe. As soon as the first satellite detects a threat, it begins tracking it until it disappears over the horizon, during which time it will transmit its tracking data to other WFOV satellites. While the Transport Layer ensures that when the first satellite loses sight of the threat over the horizon, the next WFOE is ready to pick it up, and so on. The WFOE satellites will transmit tracking information to the medium field of view satellites being developed by the Missile Defense Agency for their high bandwidth tracking and surveillance system, either directly or through the Transport Layer. In Lewis's words, HBTS, the SDA, is developing low-cost WFOE space vehicles that will offer missile alerts and tracking information to national defense authorities, as well as tracking and queuing information to missile defenses. The Missile Defense Agency is developing high-resolution HBTWS MFOV tracking vehicles that can use data from other sources, such as the WFOV system, and then give low-latency fire control quality tracking data. According to him, the MFOV's HBTWS satellites will be able to calculate missile fire control solutions using lasers to interact with transport satellites and deliver the data to both weapons platforms and the mainland U.S., where it will be broadcast by MDA. Indeed, the MDA gave Northrop Grumman, Leidos Harris Corporation, and Raytheon contracts totaling $20 million for the development of the HBTWS, noting that proposals for the HBTWS are already being produced as a result of the SDA's tracking layer and the HBTWS. Congress is becoming increasingly concerned about the prospect of hypersonic weapons. According to Lewis, it's part of the Department of Defense's integrated OPIR plan, so both the wide field of view and medium field of view sensors are critical to the NDSA system and the CDC's heritage missile warning capacity. Lewis also applauded MDA and SDA for working together on a multifaceted solution. However, as part of its spiral development strategy, the first tranche will not provide global coverage. On a 2-year basis, SDA intends to add satellites to its mega constellation, each with more advanced technologies. According to Tournier, the tracking layer will not be available globally until 2026. But as the constellation develops, more limited initial capabilities will be employed to connect space-based assets with warplanes. Consider a tranche. This means that the data will be presented in a way that warfighters are accustomed to viewing on tactical timelines, which they may anticipate to see once we commence operations. The entire aim of Tranche 0 is to allow warfighters to train and develop tactics, techniques, and procedures in order to produce battle plans that include this information. According to Tunis, the tracking and transit layers of Tranche 1 will acquire first operation capability in 2024, with persistent regional coverage. According to Sournier, the Tranche 0 satellites will launch in September 2022, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments. And that's all the information we have for you today. If you enjoy videos on Elon Musk's latest updates in Tesla, SpaceX, and Starship, you can subscribe to our Be Wiser for more. Me and my team will see you in the next video. Have a great day.